The more I've worked on Abu Dhabi Art, the more I've realised that it's more than just a platform, because these days fairs are often described as platforms. It's actually very much a community. It's community built. It's been community from the start. And so when you go around the fair, you don't just see that in some of the programmes we have, such as we have a community exhibition every year where all of our stakeholders present what they're working on. But we also have, for example, a Beyond Emerging Artists section where we commission young artists to create new works. We have a Gateway exhibition, which is really a space for critical thinking around urgent or pressing questions of our time.
For somebody who hasn't been, though, how would you advise them to explore?
I would say that it's a really friendly fair. That's so important. It's not snobby or elitist, or you don't need to worry about going up to a gallery and saying, just tell me about this artist.
Hello, everyone. Today we've got a very special episode of Culture Bites. We are going to be focusing purely and entirely on Abu Dhabi Art Fair.
And it is a good one.
This is Culture Bites, which comes to you every Thursday. I'm Enas Refaei.
And I'm Farah Andrews.
And if you are new to this channel, please do like and subscribe. We speak all about the UAE and the arts and culture which is happening in the region.
And if you do like and subscribe, you'll get a little notification, so you'll see those videos as soon as they drop. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm really well.
Good.
There's so much going on at the moment in the diary.
Yes, I do feel a little bit like, but it's all good things. It's all nice
It's
things.
all nice. And the weather is so delightful.
The weather outside is delightful, not frightful. And there's just so much to enjoy.
Yeah, it's a great time. I've really just been enjoying getting outside, getting some running in. You know what I'm like?
She loves a run.
I love running. I'm still not as good as you. But today we are going to be speaking to somebody, a very special guest.
A very special guest.
Yes, we have got Dyala Nusseibeh, who is the director of Abu Dhabi Art Fair, who's come in just to speak to us about Abu Dhabi Art.
Before we kick off our conversation with Dyala, let's just have a quick chat about Abu Dhabi Art. It is a fantastic event. It's an annual event. This year it's the 17th edition. It is coming here to Abu Dhabi from the 19th to the 23rd of November at Manara Al Saadiyat. And this year, a very impressive 140 galleries from 42 cities and 37 countries are taking part. Oof. So it really is like a beautiful global look at art.
Yes, and since it was launched in 2009, it's actually become the largest in the region, and it's been attracting loads of international galleries. So get yourselves down there.
And let's listen to our conversation with Dyala to find out some more.
Let's listen. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me with you.
So I want to know a little bit about how much Abu Dhabi Art has grown recently. I feel like it's had a growth spurt.
Thank you for pointing that out. I think we have actually accelerated the last few years. When I joined in 2016, it was less than 40 galleries. And this year we're 142. And I think really the last 3 years, for example, last year we were 100 odd. So it's about a 40% increase.
That's incredible. And for people that are coming to see and visit Abu Dhabi Art for the first time, how do you sum it up for them? What can people expect? What do we need to be looking out for when we come down?
As a fair?
Yeah.
I think, the more I've worked on Abu Dhabi Art, the more I've realised that it's more than just a platform, because these days fairs are often described as platforms. It's actually very much a community. It's community built. It's been community from the start. And so when you go around the fair, you don't just see that in some of the programmes we have, such as we have a community exhibition every year where all of our stakeholders present what they're working on. But we also have, for example, a Beyond Emerging Artists section where we commission young artists to create new works. We have a Gateway exhibition, which is really a space for critical thinking around urgent or pressing questions of our time. And then with the galleries themselves, who are also really our stakeholders or our constituents, they've grown with the fair. Many of them consider the fair a key sales moment for them. It helps sort of support their galleries other activities. It helps them support their artists. And they are also our community. And I think as you go around the fair, where we're different to a lot of fairs is you have longer conversations. You really feel that you're among friends. Everyone's excited to see each other. And that's probably one of our, I'd say, standout qualities. And it really reflects the community of Abu Dhabi in that sense.
Yeah, it's got a good vibe. That's what my daughter would say. Really nice vibe. There's lots of different countries that come and participate. Have we got any new countries that we haven't seen before?
Absolutely. This year we've got Netherlands, Tanzania, Japan we haven't had for a while. They've come back. Nigeria we had one gallery, or we have still one gallery from Nigeria, Co-Gallery, which has been doing the fair for a few years. But this year we've got a special focus on Nigeria and we've got 7 galleries, so 6 of them for the first time. And that's being done in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Art, Culture, Tourism and the Creative Economy of Nigeria. And actually every year we do different geographical focuses, enabling different countries and markets to really broaden through engagement here in Abu Dhabi.
And do you see a noticeable kind of conversation and engagement with artists from those countries kind of following the art fair? So in the past, the countries that you've really worked with on the different kind of galleries, do you notice a kind of ongoing conversation?
100%. So if we look a little bit at what Nigeria is doing at the moment, at a government level as a stated objective, they're trying to build up the market for their incredible creatives globally. And you're seeing that in the traditional centres, such as London, they've got an exhibition at the Tate Modern of Nigerian modern art, which looks at the kind of history of Nigerian artists, really the sort of post-colonial period, and includes, for example, the Oshobo Art School. And then we as a fair are another space for them to concentrate on providing opportunities for their narratives, art histories and artists to gain prominence and for further knowledge to be shared and sort of, distributed about them globally. And so we have in our focus, that same school, the Oshobo Art School, also presented at Co-Gallery, at the fair. And so there are different spaces for knowledge to be shared. One is the museum or institutional context, where you have schools and you have different groups that come in, and different audiences that come in and learn more about these art histories. But there's also the marketplace, where, certainly again with Abu Dhabi Art, it's very much part of the DNA that when you come and you think about acquiring works, you're also learning about art histories and thinking about global conversations and discourses around culture and art that provide you with context for that work. And as Nigeria's market grows, which I think it's doing through both centres, really, through London, through Abu Dhabi, and also other places, you're seeing more and more artists. For example, Nike Davies Okundaye, who's one of the Oshobo Art Schools, key sort of artists, is now also doing for us a commission in Al Ain, a public art commission.
Oh, wow.
Based on her sort of these, incredible theatre backdrops that she used to sort of work on when she was, again in Oshobo back in the 70s and late 60s. And, in this particular commission, she's looked at these shared histories and sort of community connections with palm trees and with water, because of course the oasis, relies heavily on the water supplies that come from the mountain. And in Oshobo, it's also very reliant on water from the river. And so it's looking at these kind of correspondences, if you like, between different communities through art, and building up, again, a more meaningful connection. So when you're looking at her work, you're not just learning about, this important artist from Nigeria within the context of Nigeria, but also thinking about how you relate to it as someone encountering it in Abu Dhabi. And I think that's important.
That's really beautiful how art is actually bringing together communities. I think that I wanted to ask you a little bit about how you feel that the global perception has shifted as well in art, and we have more concentration on the global south and the importance of the artwork that's coming from there. Do you want to touch upon how that is being reflected in Abu Dhabi Art?
So Abu Dhabi Art can't really be seen, I would say, in isolation. It has to be seen within the context of the incredible investment that government and leadership in Abu Dhabi have made, both historically and and are doing at the present, in culture, in the creative and cultural industries, with this strategic vision that culture is somehow integral to the future growth of the country. And so I would really credit the cultural professionals, the curators and researchers and workers in all the museum projects for all the work that's come out of the last 10 years, even pre-opening their museum spaces on what you could call global South art histories, on these different if you like, movements that perhaps traditionally have been somehow under-researched or occluded from kind of these wider public narratives about art. And they've placed them centre place. So if you look at, for example, Guggenheim Abu Dhabi, that's been collecting very seriously now, works from Swana, or you could say, in some ways, global South countries, and alongside that doing really key vital research. Or if you look at, for example, Al-Mawrid, the Center for Arab Study at New York University, and this vital research that's coming out of there and the academics and thinkers that are coming out of there, I think they're kind of a reflection of how the UAE in general, Abu Dhabi in specific, are becoming, what's kind of been termed a brain port, a place where people come together. And it's not just an economic term, it's also a cultural one. Do this vital research, share ideas, there's this knowledge production and exchange, all happening from here. And that is shifting global narratives. And that's also allowing this part of the world to have equity at the table, as it were, in terms of, what people want to say about the region, from the region. That's important.
That's so interesting. I would love to talk a little bit about the Collectors Salon and the fascinating rare pieces and historical artifacts that are shown there. Can you talk to us a little bit about the pieces that will be on show this year?
So I would say that whilst on the one hand as a fair, we look at, for example, what the Guggenheim collects and look at how to present artists from, what we've termed earlier Global South as a sort of hold-all name. We also look to the Louvre, Abu Dhabi, and what it presents and what exhibitions it has, and the sort of conversations that are coming out from the Louvre being here in the UAE, and this idea of the Universal Museum and of connections between civilizations across time and so on. And so with the Collectors Salon, it's very much a nod to what the Louvre has been bringing to the table and discussing in Abu Dhabi and in the wider region, and saying, well, how can we as a commercial space respond to that and allow people to think about bringing objects, artifacts, manuscripts, alongside modern and contemporary art, into their home as a coherent whole collection? Does it make sense for someone who happens to like, a 7th century manuscript to also like a contemporary work, to also like, a sort of modern, surrealist work or whatever it is? So the Collectors Salon really is saying that the home of a collector is eclectic. It spans centuries, it spans media, it spans ideas, and it makes sense of a collector's interests and inclinations in the context of their home. I'm, especially, I can tell you, for example, from last year, we had Le Petit Prince, the manuscript by Antoine Saint-Exupéry, annotated by him at Peter Harrington. And we had a mummy of a falcon, which everyone loved because they were just fascinated by who had mummified a falcon and why. This year we've got, I'm, quite excited about an artist called Tasheren Sherpa, who's Tibetan and uses these kind of traditional Tibetan techniques, but through a contemporary kind of vernacular. And so we've got him at the entrance. We've also got, lots of incredible works, including, again, sort of, old maps that are really interesting. Cartography is always fascinating. Manuscripts again. So you'll see that it's quite a broad sort of assembly of stories in objects, and I think that people will really relate to them.
I loved seeing the mummy falcon
Yes,
last year.
did you see that last year? I
did.
loved that.
So just for somebody who hasn't been though, how would you advise them to explore
the art fair?
Yeah.
Well, that's a nice question. I would say that it's a really friendly fair. That's so important. It's not snobby or elitist, or you don't need to worry about going up to a gallery and saying, just tell me about this artist. I mean, I do it all the time. I spend my life chatting to galleries about artists and saying, I don't know anything about this artist, tell me. And it's the best learning space for that. So I would definitely say, speak to the galleries. They're so happy to talk about the works that they're showing. Another thing is, lead with your eye, not your ear. So don't just count on what people are telling you to go and see. See what you actually enjoy looking at and respond to. We've got a wonderful exhibition within the sort of gallery context of modern art from Turkey that I'm really excited to see, and it includes rare works by Farah Nusseibeh, amongst many others, Gulsun Kara Mustafa, Burhan Dogense, some brilliant artists. And I think, people might enjoy speaking to the galleries about the histories of those artists, the context that they were creating the works in, and thinking themselves about, whether they connect to those works or not. Equally, you might find we've got an area where works are under $3,000. And that we're really sort of thinking about kind of making it more accessible to people so that you don't have to worry about, because I often have friends that say, I don't want to ask the price because it's going to be something horrifically high. And we just sort of say, no, do you know what? This whole area here, it's going to be under this price. Feel free to chat to the galleries and ask, and just sort of, and I think actually that's maybe that kind of opening up of the world of art happened post-pandemic, when everything went online and everyone had to be transparent about what things cost and what galleries were showing. And I think I think that's something we should encourage more of, is sort of breaking down of barriers between people coming to see the art and the galleries that are of course focused on the sales, but also enjoy talking about their artists and why they love their work.
I love the kind of accessible approach, but also what you were saying about approachability, because people often are like a bit intimidated to, especially when they're kind of brick and mortar galleries. They're kind of, do I go in? Can I? And do you find that it makes that kind of that approachability makes people want to bring along children and make it into a very family friendly?
Oh, I love children coming around. I mean, we have, I think it's 10,000 students that visit the fair and its ancillary programs. And that's so important, because it's that next generation that are going to be living with art and thinking about art. And I have 2 children myself. I remember my first fair in Istanbul. I had one of them in a little, pouch, carrying around the fair like a koala, sort of kangaroo or something. And I think, you just grow up with art. I mean, I certainly did, and it makes so much difference. So I welcome children to the fair. I think it's, vital that they're there. And after all, all the galleries, many of them certainly have children, whether it's nephews and nieces or cousins or their own. It's, there's a very human quality to these interactions that includes, of course, that next generation.
I love taking my children around to an art gallery.
You're very good at it.
I'm very good at it. I take them all the time. And then I think it's just really good for them to experience being in that environment and questioning what they're seeing and just opening up that conversation with the next generation. I'm also very excited that there might be something I can afford in this fair.
Yeah, I know. You lit a light bulb for me there, let me say.
Well, no, we've definitely noticed that, our collectors have expanded as well, and include, professors at universities, sort of young, professionals, I don't know, young lawyers, who are some of the others? We've had all walks of life, people coming in and saying, I can actually manage. For example, last year we had, I think it was at JPS booth, these tiny snail artworks that you put on the wall that were $200.
Oh, wow.
And they brought 90 of them. All 90 of them sold. And, everyone, and that was to different people. It wasn't one person buying a whole installation.
Wow.
Everyone just loved being able to pick something up that was 200 or even 500 or 1,000 and think, I can manage that and really enjoy having art at home.
And you do feel like you're taking home you're taking home your treasure.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Piece of treasure, but also supporting artists.
Yeah.
Which is
really
vital.
important. Yeah.
I mean, and that is something I'd say, again, is quite distinct in Abu Dhabi, is the sense of sort of civicness. It's supporting art and culture, not just because they want to build a value of a collection or they want to invest in, tomorrow's global names, but actually because they want to support and invest in their own ecosystem, support their friends who are artists, or because they believe it's important to kind of show up for these things. So that goes back to this idea of why and how Abu Dhabi Art is as much about community as it is about being a platform for these kinds of sales.
What a lovely thing to end our conversation on.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. It was lovely.
That was fascinating.
I am so excited about Abu Dhabi Art. It's next week.
It's next week. I'm getting an outfit ready. You know me.
You do like a gallery outfit.
It's the only thing I talk about is what to wear to an art gallery. Anyway, it's a silly thing.
It's not silly.
It's not silly. She likes fashion.
She likes fashion.
Let's talk a little bit about our recommendations this week.
Do you want to kick us off or shall I?
I am going to kick us off because I mentioned at the top of the programme that I've really been getting into my running.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to recommend to anybody who hasn't yet been the Yas Circuit.
Oh, the Yas Marina Circuit.
The Yas Marina Circuit. So if you haven't been, you can look it up online and you can actually sign up and go and cycle for free the world famous Formula One track.
I've been down there to cycle. I've never been down there to run. Have you?
Yes. I was meant to go this evening.
Okay. But you're still here in this room with
Still
me.
here in this room and it's not happening. But no, they have a Women's Day as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't want to go when it's like mixed, you can go when it's Women's Day, which I have been for a big cycle. And they have lots of different bikes for people with different abilities, different sizes.
Oh, I love it.
And you can just borrow a bike and just enjoy the weather, but also just, enjoy being outside on an amazing track.
Am I right in thinking it's roughly a 5-kilometre loop?
It is roughly 5-kilometre loop. It's just over that. I think it's 5.6.
Oh, I know my loops.
You know your loops. No, but it is great. And there's moments of absolute awe when you're going round and you're just there's the, the finishing stand. Is that what it's called? And you're just cycling through and it's just wow, this is a moment.
Maybe I'll go for a run there. You've inspired me.
Yes, a recommendation.
Oh, mine is a bit different. And I have to also caveat it with my recommendation is not actually something I have partaken in just yet.
Oh.
My recommendation is a new series that's coming to Netflix, but it isn't out until Thursday, which is the day this podcast comes out. But I haven't seen it yet, but it looks so up my street that I just know that I'm going to love it. And I think we all need to watch it together. So am I starting a TV club? Maybe.
Is it a rom-com?
No.
Is it a murder?
Yeah.
It's
called The Beast in Me.
Okay.
It stars Claire Danes and Matthew Rhys, two stellar actors. And I've watched the trailer a few times and I'm a little bit confused about what's going on. I know that there's a dead wife.
Oh.
There's a character mourning her children.
Oh.
There's somebody investigating a murder. It's giving us everything that we want. And I'll be watching that on Thursday. So if you need me on Thursday, do not talk to me. I will be watching that.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you so much for listening or watching this podcast.
And you can watch us over on YouTube at the National News Channel. Is that right? Yes, it is. Or be sure to follow us over on @thenationalarts on Instagram.
You can also watch us now on Spotify. So if you are watching us here on Spotify, hi.
Hi.
And bye.
Bye.